Welcome to another episode of Blame It on Marketing. We are going to be talking about YouTube today.
I'm Jake, one of the co-founders at Channel Crawler. I've done a lot of different jobs over my lifetime: dairy farming, cruise ship work, B2C sales in the education space. I stumbled across my co-founders who had a platform that found YouTubers to work with, and here we are today. So the most horrid and ugly thing you can do is do a Zoom webinar and then just put it onto YouTube and hope people watch it.
So we know it can be done. The guys from Exposure Ninja one of their goals was to become like the best SEO YouTube channel.
Give yourself like 6 months to see what comes through and make sure you're tracking it properly. 100 views, if this egotistical CEO is going to be like, no, what are you doing? That's rubbish. Just say like, you would pay to get a room of 100 people who would sit here listening to what you're about to say.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Blame It on Marketing. I am so excited. We are going to be talking about YouTube today. I don't know how we haven't covered it. As a YouTube girly, circa 2010, I want to say, I'm very happy to be talking about this in a B2B SaaS business sense. So without further ado, I'm going to let Jake introduce himself.
Thank you very much for having me on the podcast. I'm a big fan of it. So I'm Jake, one of the co-founders at Channel Crawler, which is a tool where you can search for YouTube influencers that you might want to partner with. I've done a lot of different jobs over my lifetime. I've done some dairy farming. I did some cruise ship work, but I also did B2C sales in the education space. And I've also done B2B sales in the tech space as well. Between those two, then went on to co-found this company, and that's where we are today.
Excellent. So Jake, before we get into the subject of YouTube, which is Router's favourite topic, probably of all time, you've got to tell us your deepest, darkest marketing fuck up. So something you've really screwed up in the past.
Okay. So I did the same thing twice, and I stopped people from being able to buy anything from our website, or certain people on the second time. Yeah, because, classic, you've got to run at 100 miles an hour. And I was like, right, I'm going to set up like Google Tag Manager properly. We're not tracking conversions properly. It's all about attribution. We need to know where people have come from and what's working in marketing, right? But we weren't doing it right. So obviously I set it up. It's like, okay, what we're going to do is they're going to go to this quick page here just before they go onto the payment page. And then it's going to be a millisecond. It's going to cause no problems. That's going to track the conversion 50 days. And obviously that page didn't redirect to the payment page, and no one could buy anything for 3 days, which in startup is not good. So you would think that I had learned from that later on when we did this new sign up journey, that I was like, no, people go through these phases and then there'll be no drop off because we've got all this thing, and it's going to like talk about how amazing we are through the process. But anyway, we put in some stuff, and basically, I don't know how I did it, but I made it so if you had a dot in your email address, it would cause problems and you couldn't register with us. I don't know how, honestly. And that was like a month that was active. So you couldn't even create a free account with us. So
And had like the signups dropped off the earth and you were like, what is going on? We're failing. What's happening?
couldn't sleep, just like, I don't know what we've done. How is it working? Because all the testing that we were doing was like, I've got 5 email addresses. None of them have a dot. None of my team members.
Oh my God. Test the dots. Test the dots.
All just
apparently.
To, improve our, like, people have come to the site. How did they get here? And let's get as many of them, going through that marketing messages they met. So, it's a dynamic sign up process. We've binned that off because let's just get people actually signing up is the main thing, and we'll work out the rest later. But yes, so they made me quite sick at the time.
Yeah. I feel for you. I recently did a similar thing where I created a HubSpot competition, and I was sending people to a Google form to submit. And obviously when I tested it, it was all working. And then my co-founder, like 3 days before the end of the competition, was like, no one's signing up. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I guess it just wasn't that good. You couldn't get onto the Google form because it was a private Google form.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me that.
Oh, well, now you know. Live reaction. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I guess we'll just do this again at some point. So, yeah.
I feel like if you go through something like that, now whenever there's an error on somebody's thing, I tell them, and I'm like, I know this is a bit embarrassing.
Dude, like, yeah.
Definitely.
And people are always like so grateful. And so, yeah, if anybody ever wants to
Well, thank you for being so vulnerable with us.
Yeah. I've actually got the feeling of anxiety back.
Just breathe it out. It's happened. It's gone. You're good.
Yeah.
You test the dots now.
Here we go.
So let's talk YouTube. Could you give us, before we like dig into the deep stuff, can you give us a little flavor of why you became the YouTube guy on LinkedIn?
Yeah, for sure. So I tried to start up a different startup before this one that was all about green products in a marketplace. And so a lot of that process that I knew was about if we could create great YouTube videos and other content to ensure that people understood like how to make the right green product for them. Like dog fowl bags was like a really good example. People buy like compostable ones and things like that, but can't compost it because it's got dog fowl in it. So just go straight in the bin.
Yeah.
Or biodegradable, like you don't want that to biodegrade. There's a reason you're putting that in the bag.
Because there's
So
poop.
yeah. And so there was a lot of
Poo.
fun stuff you could do with that, and I learned like quite a lot about it. Also realized how hard B2C companies are to start and to do and to make work. And so we never really got it off the ground. But I was just like, this is such a great opportunity that businesses aren't using. And sort of accidentally in that kind of like space that I was in, I stumbled across my co-founders who had a platform that found YouTubers to work with. It was a horrible site, wasn't marketed well. We didn't use YouTube, and I was like, we could do loads of this. Like, it's a cool product that works. Like, let's do more. And so inevitably, like, went on that journey with them, and here we are today.
Amazing.
Ah.
So in terms of YouTube and businesses, like, so Emma and I are in the B2B tech / like professional services space of things. There's very few notable businesses that are doing anything great on YouTube. What are you seeing? You know, what's the good, what's the bad, what's the ugly? Because you're way more immersed in this than we are.
So I'm a YouTube first person. Like I tend to have blame it on marketing, for example, on the YouTube channel as opposed to like on the podcast.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. Okay, nice.
Watch us.
What exactly, right? Because like now you know in this conversation you want to see people's faces, the reactions and things like that. You can get more into the program. So I'm YouTube first, but one of the things that is quite hard as a YouTube experience is a lot of B2B companies are like, we've got this video, let's just put it on YouTube and people will watch it. Like people never watch content that they don't want to, right? And so the most horrid and ugly thing you can do is do a Zoom webinar and then just put it onto YouTube and hope people watch it. But I actually think that's really bad.
Shade.
My mental
Shade
health
to us all.
but also just other people that aren't going to watch it or being like in tune with your brand, because what it actually does is it stops them from watching other videos that might be of more interest to them. So by showing them this one thing because you want to have some content on there, it's not really good. But there's two examples, and I thought this are good ones to share before I came on. Is one is service based, so you are a company that has a service to offer. And then the other one would be like you have a B2B SaaS product. And so really good examples is her channel used to be called LinkedIn with Louise. It's now called Raise Your Visibility Online. And she shows people how to use LinkedIn from an individual user right to companies, brands, and being, you know, founders and doing thought leadership through that process. And essentially in the service-based model, what you do is a 3-step process. Is you have your free content on YouTube, which is there for everybody to see, but it's also then your lead generator at the same time, which you can post obviously to links from, you know, your LinkedIn, your email marketing, and say, hey, we just released this video, here's how to do something. But what you're actually trying to do is get these big fish clients that are going to come and spend like, you know, 5-6 figures with you on specific projects. But the way that it works is, you know, you see somebody all the time, you watch their videos and like, oh, I'd like to be able to do that. I think I can try some of this stuff. And then it doesn't really quite work because, as I've recently found in marketing, to someone who used to be in sales, marketing is really fucking hard.
Thank you.
Also, correct.
It's just like, so, you know, you watch a YouTube video on how to do some basic SEO stuff. That doesn't mean you're going to rank number one, right? And then you're going to do some LinkedIn advertising, watching, or how to do like your meta ads and stuff like that. They're not suddenly going to be converting at 10, 20% because this video you've watched, but you get a basic sense of how to do it and set it up, which is good if you haven't got any budget, right? So a little bit helpful in that, or if you just want to hone your skills. So in this 3-step process that LinkedIn with Louise is using, is essentially saying, if you want to come to me, and we see this on LinkedIn with influencers, like they've got a huge amount of following, they must have people come to them all the time. If you don't have any budget, redirect them to your free materials and say, we really want to help you. Here's some stuff for you. You can do your one-off sales that kind of gets you in the room and just use that as like, want us to help work with you for a day to get your YouTube strategy right, to get your LinkedIn strategy right. Here's one for you, and do a specific call out into it in your video. But then it just keeps bringing people into the funnel that have watched you so many times and know what you're talking about and come back to watch your videos. It's you're directing them to from lots of different places, including, having them subscribe to your YouTube channel. When I spoke to her recently about it, she'd gone from 10,000 to 100,000 subscribers in that kind of like overnight success thing, which she took 4 years to build before that. She says 80% of their clients are coming through it now.
That's amazing.
And it's a really good model of how you can do it in that 3-step process. Like, they don't have budget, direct them there. If they do have some budget, get them in for a day. But really, you're using that to get people in for your main services, which is the client. So they're super awesome on the service side. That's obviously very different if you've got a product, and it's really hard to like make a channel about your product because there's only so many times you can do a product demo and people don't even really want to watch that. But a really good example is Clay. Clay is a sales tool that is super technical, very difficult to use, but I would say one of the best on the market. And like sales experts that can use it find it really good. And what they're essentially doing is taking data from everywhere that you can think of, signals about who's ready to buy, taking data from all different platforms that you can think of to make sure that, the person you're trying to contact is working at the same place they work. So we all know what outdated CRMs are like, other things that you might see of like job changes, all of that kind of information. So putting it all into one place and enriching that data for you. But there's so many things that can go into an outbound sales process. And what they do is they talk about the outbound sales process, and Clay is something that works as the tool within that. So they bring in people from other tools, they create partnerships, and they make really interesting videos about how to sell to people and how to get people engaged. So it's not about using Clay the tool, it's all about actually how do you get people engaged. They have Clay creators that are on LinkedIn and on YouTube that come in and do these like special videos for them. And it's just amazing. You learn like so much from them. But now everybody wants to be a Clay creator and everybody wants to talk about Clay. So now you can get people to make YouTube videos about you as well, bring people onto your channel. And suddenly, they've got 10,000 plus subscribers, and they're a brand of a product that costs, multiple hundreds of dollars to use in just their basic version. And it's just, the sky's the limit with them. Everybody wants to use Clay and be an expert.
That is some super good examples. So thank you, Jake. Really good. We're going to check those out. And Rucha and I might also take up that service idea because, why not?
We're here.
I think it's so good. The service side of it is just like amazing. It gets people so used to you. I love the podcast. Now I would reach out to you about marketing things that I would like to work with you on and be like, oh, these people know it. They're really humorous. Like, they get marketing. They get what I'm trying to do as a business. Great. Let's reach out to them and speak. And you can just do that through YouTube, which you can't do on any other platforms, because if you think like LinkedIn is the most B2B site, right? And I love LinkedIn. I use it. It generates leads for us. It's a great platform. But no one's going to sit there and watch me do a demo for like 5 minutes on their phone while they're on the train or something like that. I'm procrastinating. I'm bored. I just need to get out of my head for like 5-10 minutes. Please, I'll just go onto LinkedIn and watch someone talk about something inspirational.
So much nicer, isn't it?
No.
So we talked a bit about how I think YouTube, it can be a lead generator. We know there are some really good examples, Jake. You just gave us some. We've also had the guys from Exposure Ninja on here, who are an SEO agency, who have talked us through, one of their goals was to become like the best SEO YouTube channel. And it's now become a lead generating channel for them. So we know it can be done. I guess like one of my questions here is like, how, if you are not really doing this and you're not in this space and you're maybe quite light on the marketing team and resource side, how would you go about starting to do that?
The hardest lesson that I learned about marketing quite early on as being a co-founder and responsible for it is you can't do everything. And if you don't see YouTube as going to be a really full part of your plans going forward, then don't do it, because it does take time and effort to get traction. Because when it comes to a YouTube channel, you can be found in one of 3 ways, right? So you go onto the homepage and it's shown to you, or you finish a video and it's just put there and it comes, this is the next one, this is suggested. So it's suggested content. YouTube is great for SEO. So if you're found through the term like how to do this, and yours is like a video that shows people how to do that, it's another way to be found. Or you can be directed from somewhere else, so like an email marketing campaign, LinkedIn, etc. But YouTube's main aim as a platform, just like they all are, is to get you onto the platform and keep you there as long as possible as a viewer. And so if they're going to be taken to a channel that is inconsistent, doesn't upload frequently, there's only 1 or 2 videos and then they stop. Like that doesn't give a good user experience. They want people to find channels that they like and come back and watch it regularly. And that takes time and effort. And the other challenges as well, like just with all things when people build a brand online, you want to have faces that you recognize. You can't have different people doing it each time because people don't really get acquainted with that person. Feel like, oh, I know this person, I like them. You can have, two or three, but after that point, it really starts to become like you don't recognize the person. So it really has to be a part of your strategy of like, we think that having videos in long form can do something for us, and we're going to go for it. And then it's thinking about the wider marketing strategy as a whole, and that's thinking whether your service or product. So if it's a service that you do, just like that SEO marketing, you need to talk about where you fit within the whole entire marketing process for companies, and how like there's good examples of how you could interject this particular tool or SEO within a strategy. Like YouTube would be a great example. So they could talk to you about YouTube marketing within SEO, super relevant. Or if you're doing it on that product side, is really thinking about the space that they're in and the people that you're trying to advertise to. So if you're trying to sell, like the last podcast that I listened to of yours before recording this was one about attribution. And so if you're trying to sell an attribution tool, you really need to think about all of the things that come into it and why you would want to be measuring all of those things, what's important to think about in the process, how that cross collaborates between teams. And that's really interesting content there. But if you just talk about yourselves and this is what we do and this is it just becomes so boring, right? I mean, we see it like all the time. People just talk about themselves, not about the user, not about the customer. B2B marketing can often be so bland just because it's like death by 1,000 cuts, right? It's just sort of so many people go into it. It's like, well, I have to say about this, I have to say about that. It's like, no, just talk about stuff that helps people. And then if you do that, then you'll build some sort of audience. And the idea is that within this, you're talking about the whole challenge that you as a product or service are a part of. And here's ways that you can find cool, useful stuff. And then just that last bit with all marketing, think about like the personas, who's like actually watching it. It's going to be most cases, middle managers or senior managers that need some support with what they're trying to do. And so do it to them because it's like, this is how it helps you do your job, right? Like, this is the thing that's going to move you along.
I'm just going to break your flow. I think you keep smacking your table and I can hear the microphone jiggling.
Sorry, it's the excitement.
That's okay.
He's so
I
excited.
love it. I absolutely love it. Just,
You're giving me like, you see these people who are like, when they're like stating something in a TikTok and they're like, you will not.
Yeah.
I love it though. But yeah, that's the vibe.
Don't bang the table. Yeah. I'll grab something.
Clap.
Yeah, that's it.
Like
or hold. I always hold something in my hand so that I'm like not doing something like, cause I'm the same.
I think we should lead the part about passion in the podcast. People.
Yeah, I love that. I'm totally okay with that. When you're creating YouTube videos, you kind of have to have some sort of a personality usually. A one or a fun one or a passionate one, you need something there. So when you're talking about kind of making sure that that's an important part of the things that you do, if you do it, it's also thinking about how you deliver and kind of all of those things. So the podcast isn't made for YouTube. The podcast just has a video element to it. And when I put it on YouTube, I literally just copy and paste our headlines and descriptions and all of that stuff. And I think we could probably do things a bit differently to maybe get more people watching us on YouTube, but it's kind of not the primary goal, right? Do you think that companies need to be making content for YouTube specifically, or do you think there's a way that they can make content that is kind of cross-platform content but still works for YouTube? I don't know if that's a clear enough question. Tell me.
Yeah, I totally understand it. And I think podcasts are a great example where you don't have to have a YouTube first strategy. You can put the content on there, and because it's a podcast, for most people, if they've got an audience somewhere else, you'll find people that want to watch it on YouTube, or because it's got an audience, there are people that will find it on YouTube and like it. And I think that's totally fine. In terms of like, can you create other content that will just work for YouTube? Not really. And that's because of the long form element of it, right? And also YouTube works in a very different way. So there is the hook element with all of the different social medias, because someone comes across something and it's like, well, does this engage me? Does this bring it in? But YouTube is like that, but the hook's quite different. So especially in a marketing or sales product or service that you're putting out there, someone clicks onto a video and it says how to do this. They need to understand within the first like 15, 20 seconds, this is a video that actually solves the problem that they're trying to attack. And if you repurpose that content from elsewhere, it doesn't really work, because that's really weird on LinkedIn. Like, this is a video that's da-da-da-da. Like, you wouldn't start the video like that. You would say, I see this problem with all marketing and sales, right? And the same thing on TikTok or Instagram. And so YouTube's that different piece. And those other probably more like shorter videos, unless you're putting a longer video on there, are going to really be more like a teaser that bring people onto YouTube. And in that YouTube video, it needs to be very structured in like, this is how we're going to start, this is how we're going to end, and I'm going to show you all of these pieces along the way. And probably even chapterized as well. So people have got a specific part they want to hear more on, they can go and skip to that point. And just lastly on that as well, is the way that you package it is quite different as well, right? So really, again, thinking about to that search part on YouTube, you have to think of, will somebody ever actually get to the video in the first place? So that's doing all the things that you do with SEO. So think, if you know SEO, you can do that for YouTube. It works in, pretty much the same way. It's the same company, right? Like with Google. And then it's about that thumbnail. Like, does this actually make me want to click it? And I think one of the more mistakes that I do see that some businesses use is lean a little bit too far into the kind of clickbaity stuff, like shocked founder or something like that. It's like people aren't looking like, oh yeah. I mean, first of all,
that's going to be the thumbnail of this.
Our thumbnail's going to be all of us going, oh,
that's happening, yeah.
But the shocked face, I think that died as a good thumbnail like 2 years ago anyway.
No,
I'm so glad I have met someone that is even more nerdy than I am about YouTube. It's really warming my heart right now. I love YouTube. Like, give me a 3-hour video on religious commentary, I am there for you, like, I am so there for you. So I'm so glad that when someone's like, oh, the shocked face is like 2 years old now, I'm like, yeah, it fucking is, but no one else noticed.
I just can't relate, because I can confess that I don't use YouTube for anything. What's crazy though is I obviously have lots of clients. We have in our content strategy, YouTube is part of it, because, some of my clients, we've got podcasts and things. And so I know how to use it, although Jake's extra tips always very helpful. But I personally, in my personal life, don't watch anything on YouTube ever, guys.
I could literally quit all other social media, including LinkedIn, and give up all TV for YouTube, like any day. Not even a hard choice.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like TV, I watch more YouTube than I would watch TV. Netflix is more like, let's get a blockbuster film on. Let's not have like some weird investing guy selling me something halfway through that I'm watching. I don't have YouTube Premium. I always say to myself, it's because of the ads. Like, I need to see how the ads are working for work, but really it's just being tight, to be honest.
Yeah.
You're just actually, yeah. Guys,
speaking about YouTube ads, have you got anything for us on YouTube ads? Because I know we didn't initially plan to kind of talk about YouTube ads, but obviously there's ads within videos, which is kind of that influencer side of things, which is what you do, and then there's like ads that play on top of videos.
Yeah, I'd just say the best tactic, and I hope none of our competitors are listening, because I don't post about this on LinkedIn for a reason, because I don't want them to do it. But you can set up your YouTube ads in the same way as you set up Google ads, right? You do your branded keywords, demographic of people that you're trying to reach, and then put that in and hope it reaches the right people. And you start big, and then you scale out the ones that actually work. And there'll be people that have way more experience than me listening to that. But the key thing that you can do with YouTube, right, is if you sell guitar lessons, what's the best type of video to advertise on?
Guitar how-tos, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so it just has a very simple thing in YouTube that you can tell it which channels that you want to advertise on.
Cool.
And which videos that you want to advertise on top of that. And so your competitors can block specific channels from doing it. 99.9% don't. And remember, when you're targeting specific demographics as well, we get a lot of people come to us and we'll take data on all of the kids channels that we have, because they'll basically say blacklist this, because if you're logged into YouTube and your kids watching it, like, they're going to get advertisements that are probably for you, right? Because you've gone for a big campaign. You want to get out to as many people as possible. Don't really mind what they're watching. And so, I've been at my niece's house, her house. But anyway, been at her, and like some random advert comes up on YouTube from the kids program that she's watching. It's obviously targeted towards her parents. I would just say blacklisting and whitelisting the videos and channels is such an underused thing within YouTube. And it's like, you just advertise people who are going to find things about what you want. And it's, again, like super easy. People have probably got burner accounts on like other social medias. Just create a YouTube burner account, search for the things that you hope people are searching for when they're looking for your videos, see what comes up, see what the thumbnails are like, and think intuitively, like going back to what we said before, would I click this? Would I watch it? And then if you would, advertise on that video.
I love it. We've been like toying with doing YouTube ads ourselves, because obviously we can like clip up the podcast to like have quite fun trailers and that kind of thing, but we've just never kind of got to it. So maybe this is the inspiration to get to it, because we do have like a very traditional podcast format on the YouTube channel. We do shorts though, which is great. Like shorts
are great
traffic and subscribers for us.
Yeah.
We love shorts.
Not really any like I mean, there are some proven theories of YouTube, but shorts is a great way to bring people to your channel in any mechanism. You just give people a snippet of what you're doing, and try and, to be fair, actually working with like the Diary of the CEO stuff, they do it the best way. Give them something to go on and like, wow, that's a really cool insight. And then the main thing at the end, it goes, now I have to watch it.
I'm going to have to click on it.
Damn it, now I've got to watch Stephen Bartlett.
I know, yeah, and it isn't, because I mean, he does so much clickbait, but I take it, I eat it all. There's just interesting things that come up on the clip, and I'm like, you've targeted this towards me, well done, now I'm going to find out that stupid thing that I was never interested in until 10 seconds ago.
So if we are a marketing team, let's say it's you, me, and Ems, and we don't do any YouTube, but we do make content, we do social, all the normal B2B marketing stuff, how do we kind of switch towards a YouTube focus, and how do we kind of teeter in that way and think about that long-term, I guess, investment, which it is, but also the long-term gains we could be having from building a YouTube audience?
Yeah, sure. So I would say that the great thing about YouTube is that especially once you start getting past 100 views, you've got really high intent people that are going to be looking to use your product or service. And so the view count is the most important one to measure. And also attribution is super easy, because you can put like a trackable link in the description. And so what I've said to our team is we're going to release a new app. And that means that whenever we show the tool, we'll show the current one, so we don't have to worry about outdated stuff. So just feel that you're in a position that when you show people something today, it's because you're a small team, like in 6 months' time, that's not going to be like too outdated. So you might show them a Notion workflow, other tools that you recommend, or things like that within a workflow. But you feel like that content there for 6 months could stay and still be of use to you. And then the first one's just to start with, what are the most common questions that we get asked about? So customers come to us and they ask this, and so you can still answer that question, and you can do that like to the people, but also say, actually, we've created a video on this, and like, here's some more details on how you might like to see it. And you should find, actually, like most people want to speak to them can think of at least 5 to 6 videos that they could make of those questions. And then when it comes to length, there's lots of things that you can get into, but actually, like with all content, it should be as long as it needs to be. So as long enough that you can get the point across, people can take away that information and have it. So I'd say for a lot of people starting out, that can just be 10 to 20 minutes. But if you want to go on longer as time goes on, like do it. Like just like the same with, when people start things in the new year, you can get so excited, I'm going to do 7 days a week. And then you're blown out by like week 2 and you're like, oh, maybe just once ever. So it would just be a case of like, what are those 5, 6 videos that we're going to make? Have those ready to go on day one, and then just every 3 or 4 weeks have a two days set out so that you can plan the videos that you're going to make, do your research on them. Whoever's the SEO expert in the team, get them to look at what people are searching for. You can use tools like Ahrefs to find out on YouTube itself, or SEMrush, etc. And just have your plan of, these are the videos that we're going to make, and make sure that at least one's going up like once per week. So again, do them, put them up once a week, and just give yourself like 6 months to see what comes through and make sure you're tracking it properly. But I think one of the key things in that is when it's business pages, it's all going to be evergreen content. Like that's the thing I'd be thinking of. Like 9 times out of 10, you want it to be something that people can go back to at any time and get value from. There might be the odd thing where you want to give like a commentary piece. So in our world, TikTok being banned is a huge thing, and you might want to do a commentary piece of what can people do about the TikTok ban. But obviously, once that all plays out, it's not really any use to people. So commit to it for these 6 months, make sure the videos can last for that 6 months and keep adding value. And then just block do it. Like, don't just come to it on the day, oh, we've got to film a YouTube video today. Like, get a few ideas in the bank, do all the recording at once, and then upload them like week to week. Sure, as you do with this podcast, if you give yourselves like plenty of notice when you start to run like thin on content, you go, oh, we've got to do it. But most of the time it should be like, this isn't a stress. We've actually planned this way in advance, and we can do this at the downtimes for us and go through that. But yeah, that whole bit that I came back to at the start is it has to just add value for your customers. So within that, I would put big red thing. Don't just put on Zoom meetings, and don't just do product demos or service demos. Has to be something that actually people would get some value from. But the final thing, it's on that dry known, can't I, is just going back to that start. If you haven't got the time, if you haven't got that 6 months that you can let it out for, which lots of people don't, like, don't try and push into it, because like with all things, like I've been that person before that flippantly says to marketing, well, we should just be doing this. And you're like, fuck off, because that is a lot of work. You don't understand how it works. It will just be the same as that.
I also wanted to mention, like, so obviously the views on YouTube are super public. Like, you can see how many views every video has on anything. So I think, as well as a marketing team, just bear in mind the character of whoever is letting you do this and signing this off. Because if it's a super, like, I don't want to say this, but I will, like, super egotistical founder that is going to be ashamed of your videos having like 100 views, which is totally fine. You might just want to like think about that, because it's gonna bite you in the butt if that does happen. Even if your videos are great and the right people are watching them, that emotional side will come up.
Well, the pitch that, because this blocker does come up with people, the best one that I've heard is, so 100 views, if this egotistical CEO is going to be like, no, what are you doing? That's rubbish, blah, 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 blah. He's got an accent apparently as well. So you just say, like, you would pay to get a room of 100 people who would sit here that are interested and listening to what you're about to say. And you can just put this like anywhere that any time that people will listen to it, and they will come to it. Like, you don't even have to pay to like be there. So obviously lots of people do get invited up just to speak at their own accord, but like talking to a room of 100, you're like, this is brilliant, cool. But actually you can do that multiple times. And like within the YouTube analytics studio as well, you can see how many people are like really watching it all the way through and what the highlights are and what they really like. So you get really good insights actually as to not just like how many people watch, but where they watch, what was of most interest, and what can we do videos on later as a result. So yeah, I get that maybe 100 views doesn't sound like a lot, but previous customer of ours called Blue Dot, they created their own YouTube channel and they get about 100 views and stuff on most of their videos. Some of them have gone up to like 1,000 now, maybe a bit more by the time this comes out, but they're just like, honestly, we make so much from it. Like, I can't believe how many times people come to this and just like click on the thing. And there's a low subscription cost as well. So people are just coming to it and like, oh, I'll give this a try. It's a really good tool. And they're like, great. But people had never heard of them before. But they just had a really good example where they're like, yeah, I don't care. It's like one guy filming in a room like I've got here, just has his phone that does it. And he's like, yeah, honestly, it's super. It's amazing.
Phones have changed YouTube. Do you remember like back in the day when you used to have like £1,000 camera to even like make it look okay? And now your little iPhone, literally now your little iPhone's like fucking better quality than some cheap cameras you can buy, to change the game. Yeah,
no, it definitely has.
That's all I have.
But I think it does the same as like AI with content, right?
I think also, to give everyone grace, I think YouTube is a good place to have a content repository where you're not going. It's not there for YouTube. You're just going to pull the link and then send people because they might want to watch the recording.
But you can unlist
you intended. Yeah, true. It's not because you intended it for it to be on YouTube, but use Vimeo for that or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I just say what Emma said. I'd unlist that. So our repository of videos is much higher for unlisted than listed, but it's like very specific things or things that are in the help center that, okay, maybe they do help a bit, but actually like you need to do the bigger content that are going on that channel that are going to interest the everyday user.
It's like the other thing I was just going to really add, which is a really basic thing that I hate that people do, is that when you see their their channel, it's organized by things like webinars and podcasts. Mike, that's not helpful. Like, I'm not looking for a webinar. I'm looking for the insert topic
of something.
So it's like even just really basic things like that. I see companies do that, and I'm like, that baffles me. No one's looking for content like that. So Jake, before we wrap up, this has been wonderful. And I think a lot of people will get a lot of great tips from this. You've also given us some really good tips to take away to do on Biome. So we're gonna implement them, and we will tell you how that goes. Have you got any marketing gossip for us? Anything you've seen that is annoying you or that you love? Tell us.
Really bugs me is when people say, "Oh, you shouldn't worry about attribution," and I'm like, "Are you fucking mental?" Like, because I know attribution is so hard, right? And you do things for brand awareness, which I used to cuss out more than anything. But now I'm like, oh, actually, people should be aware of who we are. It makes it much easier to tell to them.
Does make it easier to sell things.
Make it
easier.
It
does help.
Yeah, and like it's just that micro bit. Oh, okay. So we know I've seen that before. I'll come back to it. But you have to do it to an extent to see like what is working and what's not working. So, it's hard to get it all exactly right. And I know that I've been on both sides of the sales marketing divide as well. And I get that there is a bit of a balance with it. But it doesn't mean you just don't do it. It's like me going, oh, well, actually, we don't sell to everyone. 75% of the time doesn't work. So let's just sack that off. We won't bother. Like, it's really hard, actually.
Bother.
Because with attribution, you need to have like some sort of thing. Okay, this is working for us. This isn't. This is what we need to improve. We've got this blank space, but let's be honest about that. I'm all about positive stuff on LinkedIn, actually, and constructive conversations. But I do have a little smile when someone just cuts someone down because they're like, you can't attribute, and they're like, well, you're an idiot. People can be quite harsh on LinkedIn, like we said earlier. Like people not afraid to go for it behind the keyboard. Yeah. So I really like seeing the conversation around attribution, but it really bothers me when people just say, let's throw it out the window, because someone with a small budget, ourselves most of the time, it's like, no, we need to know what's working, because we can't do it all the time.
Yeah. Well, I like to think that the episode that you listened to about attribution, we didn't say don't do it. We just said
no. That wasn't. Whoa,
do bits.
That wasn't.
Whoa! I'm gonna get in your YouTube comments now.
No. That wasn't.
Fuck this YouTube channel.
On that at all.
No one watches YouTube.
This is more thinking back to because with that internal debate around the thing going back to the start where I stopped people from being able to buy anything from our website was because we were like, well, what is working? Because we tried so many things and we have no idea where all these people are coming from. Like we're huge in Bangladesh, by the way, like massive. So shout out to all of our customers there. But we have no idea why. Like, how have they got here? What are they doing? So okay, let's figure out how people get into our site, what are they doing, who spends the money, and do something with it, which isn't perfect. But since then, we've actually been able to double down on things that are working versus some crap ideas that I had.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of the time, I don't think we actually covered that in the episode. A lot of the time, especially if you're a one-person team or a small team, whoever your boss is, they don't want to give you the time and the remit to actually set up the foundations right, because they just want you to go, make stuff. But then you do that and you're like, okay, stuff's happening, but I have no idea what's happening where and how it's all linked together. And then stuff doesn't go so well. And then your boss expects you to have that data and then sends you on a rabbit hole for 3 weeks.
God, the
trying
mission.
to attribute stuff. So yeah, it's a weird priorities thing, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's the exact process that we went through. And then when we did it, we were like, okay, there's a couple of forums and people have talked about us in that region, and they come to use us for the free tool. So let's not target it all. But we have been successful in 20 other countries in one particular month. So it's like, okay, even if they're small purchases, how do people get here, and what methodology is going to work for us in future? And that's just been super helpful for us.
On that lovely note, thank you, Jake, so much. This episode has genuinely been super fun. I'm glad we got to nerd out about YouTube. We'll see you in the next episode.